If you love great music and some gentle banter, you're in the right place. Listen to Radio Care, broadcasting from Coventry.
Hello and welcome to another Saturday night. I'm Mike Cowd, you're listening to Radio Care, and yes, we are broadcasting from Coventry in the West Midlands, and tonight's show is dedicated to CovKids. So any bands that may have come, or artists that may have come from the Coventry city itself or within the surrounding area, I've put together a list of as many as I could sort of find. And to get us started, we've got one from Frank Ifield from 1962, and this one is I Remember You.
I remember you. You're the one who made my dreams come true. A few kisses ago, I remember you. You're the one who said I love you too. Yes, I do, didn't you know? I remember too a distant bell and stars that fell like the rain out of the blue. And my life is through, and the angels ask me to recall the thrill of them all. Then I will tell them I remember you. I remember too a distant bell and stars that fell just like the rain out of the blue. When my life is through, and the angels ask me to recall the thrill of them all, then I will tell them I remember. Tell them I remember. Tell them I remember
you. And that was Frank Ifield from 1962, and I Remember You. Now, I can probably hear a lot of you shouting out, going, he wasn't English, he was Australian. He was actually born in Coventry in 1937, I think it was, in an area of Coventry called Coundon, which is just round the corner from us. A lot of locals refer to it as County Coundon, owing to the fact there's lots of Irish people, or used to be lots of Irish people, sort of lived in that particular part of Coventry. But he moved to Australia in 1948. So his parents were Australian, and they went back there. So that's the Australian sort of connection with Frank Ifield. But this particular song was actually written and published in 1941, and it was originally recorded by Jimmy Dorsey in 1941. So there you have it. It did actually get to number one in the UK, and it got to number 5 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Also number 1 on the easy listening charts, also in the US. So good evening if you've just joined us. This is Radio Care, and tonight is dedicated to CovKids. So any bands or artists that may have come from the Coventry area or surrounding area, I've put together a list, and hopefully you'll enjoy most of the bands and most of the songs. Some of them you may not have heard of. Others, particularly if there's any local listeners sort of in Coventry, will probably sort of remember some of the bands. This next one is one from 1965. They were quite a popular mod band, and called The Sorrows, and this one is Take a Heart.
First you take a heart, then you break a heart. But before you do, you make it fall for you. Then you give it back. Oh, you shouldn't do that. You See me walk that floor, just a thinking of you. You see me walk that floor, baby, right out of my shoes. Somebody help me, please. Tell me what to do. Just send an SOS. You know my heart's in distress. Won't somebody please take her place? Will I find her there, searching everywhere? Why'd you break my heart? Take her heart, then you break her heart. But before you do, you make it fall for you. Then you give it back. Oh, you shouldn't do that. See me walk that floor, just a thinking of you. You see me walk that front, baby, right out of my shoes. Somebody help me, please. Tell me what to do. Send me an SOS. You know my heart's in distress. Won't somebody please take her place? Will I find her there, searching everywhere? Oh, you shouldn't do that. 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 You know you broke my heart. You made me fall for you. You know you shouldn't do that, baby. You know you shouldn't do that.
And that was the Sorrows, Take a Heart from 1965. As I mentioned, they were a mod-style band, or very much into the mod scene, sometimes referred to as freak beat. And I'm just looking, this song actually got to number 21 on the UK singles charts in 1965. Actually formed in Coventry in 1963. So this next tune I'm going to play, it's probably one of the shortest ones that I've got on this set list tonight, or this playlist tonight, but it's probably one of the most famous recognisable songs or pieces of music that you're going to sort of hear. You'll just know it straight away. And yes, it has Coventry connections. Now, when you were a kid, you either loved hearing that tune or you hid behind the sofa, depending what monsters were going to be on there. Now, the tune was actually created and performed by Delia Derbyshire, and she is a Coventry lady. Well, she was born in Coventry and lived in Cedar Avenue in Coventry, again in Camden. Camden seems to be quite a popular area in Coventry. I actually have a blue plaque on the house on 104 Cedar Avenue to commemorate Delia Derbyshire. And I think that was Colin Baker and Nicola Bryan, along with BBC and Warwickshire presenter Vic Minnett, that actually did the sort of unveiling of the plaque back in 2017. So like I say, that's probably one of the most famous sort of tunes I'll play on there. Everyone's going to recognise that. Like I say, you either like Doctor Who and used to watch it, or you used to hide behind the couch because they were too scary, sort of the aliens that were on there. So this next one is by a band called Cathedral, and there's two bands from Coventry called Cathedral. There's one which is quite a sort of heavy rock, very heavy rock band, and there's this band which were actually formed, it says, in the Birmingham area in 1968, but their guitarist Rod Goodwin actually comes from the Coventry area, and later on went to sort of join a group called Jigsaw, and I'll be playing a tune by Jigsaw a bit later on. So this one is by Cathedral, and it's called It's a Hard Way. And that was Cathedral's It's a Hard Way from 1970. Band actually formed in 1968, and they were classed as one of the first progressive rock outfits to emerge from the Birmingham area. And the band members were John Fox, Rod Goodwin and Dave Thompson. And like I mentioned, Rod Goodwin was from the Coventry area, and John Fox and Rod Goodwin actually went on to become part of the group Jigsaw, which were quite one of the sort of famous sort of early sort of Coventry bands, sort of in 1975. But I'll be playing one of their songs a little bit later. They also had some sort of connections with the band Badfinger. So this next one is one very famous one. You could either sort of like class it as a novelty sort of act, novelty song, but it did actually sort of make it sort of into the charts, and it was very popular in 1972. This one is Lieutenant Pigeon, and this one is Mouldy Old Dough. if it wants to play. They don't make them like that anymore. That was Lieutenant Pigeon and Mouldy Old Dough from 1972. Actually went to number 1 on the UK singles charts, and it was followed by another single, Desperate Dan, which got to number 17 in 1973. Both tracks were largely instrumental, with the titles providing the virtual only lyrics. Mouldy Old Dough is a title from the adaptation of a 1920s jazz phrase called Vodio Dough. There you go. I didn't know that. That's something I learned with that. And it was the second biggest selling single of 1972, behind the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards bagpipe version of Amazing Grace. They also had a hit in 1974 in Australia with I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen. The band stopped playing and gigging in 1978. And did you know that the woman playing, or the person playing the piano, was his mother, Hilda Woodward? See, we learn something all the time on this show. So welcome if you've just joined us. I think we're up to just over 1,000 people listening at the moment. So thank you for sort of tuning in tonight. It's a show dedicated to the CovKids. So any artists or bands that have come from the Coventry area or surrounding area. It was a suggestion of one of my friends, Nikki Broom from work. She said that'd be good because there's quite a few bands that will come out of Coventry. It was a bit harder than I thought it would be, but I've got there. I've managed to sort of like find some tracks of sort of bands that are either current or actually formed out of several bands. So I've been quite sort of fortunate with some of them, and you'll see what I mean as we sort of go through the set. So this next one is a bit of a folky tune. It's by John Martin and his wife Beverly Martin. His wife Beverly is from Coventry, and it says They met in 1969. Her name was Beverly Cutner. Originally from the Coventry area, but I think she was sort of like studying sort of down in London as a student, and when she met John Martin and sort of ended up sort of on the folk scene down there. This one is called John the Baptist, and it's from 1970.
I'm John the Baptist, and this is my friend Salome. And you can bet it's my head she wants, and not my heart only. If you see me smiling, you wonder why. You can bet it's a private joke between her and I. And it's all I know in my very heart I committed no sin, and it's all alright. I'm John the Baptist, and this is my friend Salome. And you can bet it's my head she wants, not my heart only. If you see me smiling and you wonder why, you can bet it's a private joke between her and I. And it's all everything's alright. Everything's alright. Everything's alright. Everything's alright. Everything's alright. Everything's alright.
I actually like that one. That was John and Beverly Martin, John the Baptist from 1970. They were very sort of into the sort of folk scene, and particularly sort of Woodstock, sort of that particular time sort of with music. So, and you can sort of hear that sort of in the sound they're playing. But Beverly Martin, originally from the Coventry area, so there's a connection there. So this next band, I played the band Cathedral earlier, and I mentioned that a couple of the members of the band went on to join a band called Jigsaw. And I was trying to sort of think whether I'd heard of Jigsaw, and when I played the track that I'm going to play next, I thought, yeah, I have heard of them, and you'll probably sort of recognise it. When I played it to Laurie the other day, she said, oh, was it like in a Bond film or something like that? But it was actually the theme for a film called The Man from Hong Kong. It became a worldwide hit, and this one is called Sky High.
all I have to give. Why did it have to stop? You've blown it all sky high by telling me a lie without a reason why. You've blown it all sky high. You've blown it all sky high. Our love had wings to fly. We could have touched the sky. You've blown it all sky high. Around my throne, then down like a stone. I gave you love. I thought that we had made it to the top. I gave you all I had to give. Why did it have to stop? You've blown it all sky high by telling me a lie without a reason why. You've blown it all sky high. You've blown it all sky high. Our love had wings to fly. We could have touched the sky. You've blown it all sky high. You've blown it all sky high by telling me a lie without a reason why. You've blown it all sky high.
I really like that one too. That was Jigsaw and Sky High from 1975. Like I mentioned, it was the main theme for the film The Man from Hong Kong, which I think was one of them sort of Bruce Lee sort of type films. Song actually reached number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100, number 4 on the adult contemporary charts in the States, and it also got into the top 10 UK singles charts. And in 1975, the Australian sort of single was released under the name British Jigsaw, due to the fact that there was already an Australian band at the time called Jigsaw. I really like that one. So Coventry is very famous for several reasons. So it's one of the cities that sort of during the Second World War, on the night of the 14th of November 1940, when Coventry become absolutely flattened by sort of German bombs and planes, and the cathedral was actually sort of completely sort of ruined, and that's why we still sort of have the ruins sort of in the sort of central part of Coventry. We also very famous for Lady Godiva, and we have a statue sort of her in the town. And I actually found out through my family tree that I've got family connections going way back to Lady Godiva and Earl Leofric. So that's sort of one reason probably why I moved back. Not the main reason. I came back sort of for Laurie, but I'll tell you a bit more about that in a bit. But one of the other reasons Coventry is famous is because of two-tone music. So in 1979 there was a real explosion of what became known as sort of two-tone music, ska music, from bands like the Specials, Selector, The Beat, Madness, all them types of band. But it actually started in Coventry. It started with the Specials and the Selector and a couple of other local bands, and the two-tone label was formed. And we have a museum in Coventry, which is the Coventry Music Museum, but you've also got the Two-Tone Museum, and there's lots of sort of memorabilia in there. I've been there several times. They've got a two-tone cafe in there. You you get a lot of the sort of mods and scooter boys turn up there as well, sort of at the weekends. It's just a real nice sort of atmosphere if you like that. And they have live bands there as well. Still sort of a lot of ska bands, local ska bands that actually sort of play there. So they've kept the sort of tradition sort of going. But anyway, this first one is going to be from the band The Specials. I've seen The Specials play and they're fantastic. And this one is probably one of their most famous ones, but everyone's gone to have heard. And this one is Ghost Town. And that was Ghost Town from the Specials. That was 1981. Ghost Town was in the charts, spent 3 weeks at number 1 and 10 weeks in total in the top 40 of the UK singles charts. The song was addressing themes of urban decay, the unemployment, violence in the inner cities, the riots that were sort of going on at the time. It was felt that the song was sort of written about Coventry at the time, because there'd sort of been lots of sort of places, sort of factories and things sort of closing down. Coventry used to have its own sort of coal mines and pits in this area, and they were sort of being closed down as well. It's why the Coventry accent, a lot of people think that people from Coventry have a bit of a Brummie accent. They don't. Sound nothing like Brummies at all. It's a very distinct, unique sort of accent, sort of for the Midlands, really, and it's got kind of a sort of a northern sort of lilt to it, and I think I was reading somewhere that they think sort of the sort of northern sort of edge that you get in a Coventry voice or accent is due to sort of like the mining, because people sort of moving from other areas. You know, there's a lot of people did sort of move down sort of from Scotland, from up north, to work in the mines down this way, particularly just on the outskirts of Coventry. As you sort of go into Nuneaton and Bedworth, there's still quite a big sort of Scottish community in that area. So this song, like I say, was about sort of the sort of breakdown of society and how sort of young people were sort of feeling at the time. It was very sadly, it was the last single for the Specials at that particular time, because they were sort of having their own internal sort of arguments sort of going on, and they broke up very shortly after it. But it did become the single of the year for 1981, and it was the 12th best placed single of the year in 1981 again. So sticking with a two-tone sort of ska sort of theme, I'm trying to sort of like just concentrate on the Coventry sort of band, and there was another band that sprung up in 1979, very short-lived. They sort of didn't have sort of much sort of released. More famous for an instrumental song that they had called Mantovani. They're called the Swinging Cats, and it says that they actually formed at the end of 1979 and have replaced Holly and the Italians on the Selectors March 1980 tour, and they were offered a deal or a single sort of recording with the two-tone label, and that's where they done Mantovani and Away. So the one I'm going to play now is Away, and it's the Swinging Cats.
What would you say if I told you
And that was the Swinging Cats and Away from 1980. It says that it was released with Mantovani, and I think Away was probably the B-side, but the song or that single actually sank without a trace, despite the first 20,000 copies being sold at a giveaway price of 50p. It says a part of the problem was the band seemed to change its lineup every week, so it wasn't sort of consistent. It says they had a singer called Val at one stage that actually went out with Jerry Dammers, who's in the Specials. So this next one is from another very famous ska outfit. This is the Selector, led by Pauline Black, and this one is from her 1980 or their 1980 album Too Much Pressure, and this one is called 3 Minute Hero.
So there you have it. Radio Care, transporting you from the 60s to present day. Join Mike Howard broadcasting from Coventry to the world.
Absolutely, broadcasting from Coventry, and tonight's show is about Coventry. It's about bands and artists that come from Coventry or the surrounding area. So you've heard some of the ska ones. That was one from the Selector, and that was 3 Minute Hero, and that was from 1980. The song reached number 16 on the UK singles charts and stayed there for 6 weeks. So we're moving away from the ska sort of tunes at the moment, and another very famous lady that comes from Coventry is Hazel O'Connor, and we all want to send sort of best wishes to Hazel O'Connor. At the moment, we know she was sort of like pretty poorly recently, had to have an operation for a bleed on the brain, so she's sort of recovering from that sort of at the moment, so hopefully she'll recover. But one of my friends, Lindsay's a nurse at the Walsgrave Hospital, or the University Hospital Coventry, College Hospital Coventry in Warwickshire, and she's quite good friends with Hazel O'Connor. I think they sort of used to sort of occasionally go sort of dog walking together. So just to say hi to Lindsay. Anyway, this one is from Breaking Glass, but this version I think was actually one that when they brought out the anniversary album, she recorded a lot of the tracks again, so it does sound slightly different. And when I played it to Laurie the other night, she went, "Oh no, I prefer the other," because Breaking Glass is one of her favourite films. And I was hoping sort of, because Hazel O'Connor and Toyah were supposed to be doing a show together this year, but they've had to sort of postpone it, obviously, for what's sort of happened with poor Hazel at the moment. Anyway, this song, a very famous one from 1981, and this one is Will You?
You drink your coffee and I sip my tea, and we're sitting here playing so cool, thinking what will be will be. It's getting kinda late now. I wonder if you're staying out, staying out, staying out, staying out. Or will you just politely say goodnight? To you, not knowing quite what to do, and I'm feeling our feels and thoughts. Spill my tea, oh silly me. Well, it's getting kinda late now. I wonder if you're staying out, staying out, staying out, staying out. Will you just politely say goodnight? Much too much. This moment has been waiting for a long, long time. Makes me shiver, makes me quiver. This moment I'm so unsure. This moment I have waited for. Is it something you've been waiting for? Waiting for till to you and make me whole. Tell me your secret, sing me the song, sing it to me in the silent tongue. It's getting kinda late now. I wonder if you're staying out, staying out, staying out, staying out. Or will you just politely say goodnight?
Well, that's a great song, isn't it? That was Hazel O'Connor from 1981, and that was Will You from the film or the soundtrack for Breaking Glass. Now, interesting sort of reading about it, it was saying that the song wasn't actually written for the soundtrack or for that particular album. It was actually, she'd read somewhere, or she told The Guardian, that she'd been upset after reading a story about a man that had died when he went into a shop. He entered sort of to buy a sandwich and was blown up by the IRA, and that really sort of affected her, and that's what the song was about. Also, I was just reading on there that sort of brilliant, sort of wonderful saxophone solo was played by Wesley McGugan, and whilst touring the UK in November-December 1980, she was supported by a very sort of unknown act, Brummie act called Duran Duran, sort of at the time, and look how they sort of went on to become quite sort of famous. We're going back to the soloist, the saxophone player, just sort of saying that he wasn't actually sort of credited with the sort of original sort of release of the single as someone sort of like who wrote, because he sort of did contribute quite a bit to that particular song, but he did actually take it to court and is now credited as a co-writer of that particular song. So you learn something all the time on this show. That's why I love putting them together, and sort of having different themes each week really sort of gives me sort of a chance sort of like to see what information I can find, and you know, it's that geeky side of me. I just enjoy sort of absorbing information. So this next one is one from a band that sprung out of the Specials very quickly after the Specials broke up. So Specials sort of split up in 1981, and in 1981 all of a sudden there was a trio called Funboy 3, and they released a single called The Lunatics Have Taken Over the Asylum. Here we have it. And that was the Lunatics have taken over the asylum by the newly formed Funboy 3 in 1981. Now, that single got to number 20 on the UK singles charts, number 28 in Ireland, 43 in Australia, and 46 in New Zealand. So another very famous band to come from Coventry. And you're going to know this one instantly. It's probably on all of the compilation albums that ever get released for 80s sort of soundtracks. This is by the band King, and it's a song called Love and Pride.
That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. Start your journey early or maybe later. Look for rainbows. Take your head, drive them all away. In you I find a story I want to keep hearing. In you I see your colors, not just black or white. In you I find a reason, hope for all dreamers. You are my pretty my supply of love and pride. That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. Knowing, sensing, seeing, eating, sleeping, touching, testing, loving, wanting, and taking more love and more pride. In you I find a story I want to keep hearing. In you I see your colors, not just black or white. In you I find a reason, hope for all dreamers. You are my Billy Mouse of love and pride. That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and I'm taking it round the whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Some love and pride. What my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. I say that's what my heart yearns for now. Love and pride. That's what my heart yearns for now. Love and
And that was from Coventry band King, Love and Pride from 1984. And Bertie's joining in tonight. He's been quiet all evening, but he's decided to join in. Now, the song was first released in April 84, and it wasn't a success. It spent only 3 weeks in the singles charts and reached number 84. However, after the group performed the song on a Saturday morning television show at the end of 84, it was re-released and became a big hit. Love and Pride hit number 2 on the UK singles charts in February of 1985. Remained there for 3 consecutive weeks. It never made it to the number 1 spot. That was being held by Elaine Page and Barbara Dixon's I Knew Him So Well. There you have it. So we're returning to our favourites. So I'm very fortunate sort of with this set tonight because out of the specials there were so many different sort of bands or solo acts that sort of came from it. So I've already played Funboy Free, and we know that was three members of the specials: Terry Hall, Neville Staple and Linville Golding. And now we've got the band Colourfield, which featured Terry Hall and also the Swinging Cats members, two of them, Toby Lyons and Cole Shale. Now, they set themselves up as a Manchester band in 1984 when they formed, but all three of them come from Coventry. This song is probably one of their most famous, and this one is Thinking of You, released in 1985.
I guess I kinda sorta know I ought to be thinking of you, but a friendship's built on trust, and that's something you never do. Well, who knows, maybe tomorrow we can share each other's sorrow and compare our graveside manner as we wave our lonely banners. If you ever think of me, I'll be thinking of you. If you decide to change your view, I'm thinking of you. You can walk away from loneliness anytime you choose.
And you're the sort of person that hasn't anything to lose.
But who cares, maybe tomorrow you can lead and I could follow. So walk where angels fear to tread, for everything you've ever wanted. And if you ever think of me, I'll be thinking of you. If you can spare an hour or two, you'll know what to do. I could be the one thing there in your hour of need. So if you decide to change your views, I'm thinking of you. Let's roll the dice in a fool's paradise. Share moonlit nights, breathing nothing but light. Let's open our eyes. We should take a bus to somewhere else, to something new. Thank God we're alive and bite off more than we can chew. Do the things that just don't matter, laugh while others look in anger, stumble over four-leaf clovers and say goodbye to lonely banners. If you ever think of me, I'll be thinking of you. Through thick and thin, I bear it and grin and never give in. I could be the one thing left in your hour of need. So if you decide to change your views, I'm thinking of you. Thinking of you. Thinking of you. Thinking of you.
And that was the Colourfield, Thinking of You, from 1985. Got to number 12 on the UK singles charts and number 11 in Ireland. It also featured Katrina Phillips singing along with Terry Hall on the vocals. So welcome if you've just joined us on Radio Care. Tonight is dedicated to CovKids, so those artists, bands that have come from Coventry area, may have been born here, they may have moved away or whatever, but Some of them sort of stayed in the area, and become sort of famous people that come from Coventry itself. So this next band is a very famous, I suppose they were a goth type band back in the late 80s. A band called All About Eve, and their lead singer, Julianne Regan, is from Coventry originally, born in Coventry, and she fronted All About Eve, and probably one of their most famous singles from 1988 was a song called Martha's Harbour, and that's the one I'm going to play.
RadioCare wants to thank all carers around the world. Paid and unpaid, you are all amazing.
I have to remind everyone every week why I set up RadioCare. It was initially to say a big thank you to all those carers, paid and unpaid, that do an amazing job supporting the people that they care for or look after, and have kept going sort of through the pandemic. And, you know, that's just not family carers. That's also people that sort of working in domiciliary care or those in residential sort of settings, and our NHS staff, those that are actually sort of working working on the wards, and anyone sort of working within sort of the hospital, but have kept going and making sure that people are sort of looked after, and we can't sort of thank them enough because it's been a difficult 2 years. So that's the original reason why I set up Radio Care. I enjoy doing the show each week. I work for a charity called Carers Trust Heart of England who supports family carers, and this is my little way of it's a hobby, but it's also keeping the message out there that we need to carry on sort of supporting those people that are sort of caring for people. So by putting these little shows together and the podcasts, it's hoped that it would help reduce some of the isolation, and people can sort of tune in when they want to sort of tune in. I know they can listen to any radio show if they wanted to, but it's really nice the comments that I get sort of from people who say they do enjoy listening to the show and the music, and they don't mind my waffling and sort of banter, which is sort of really lovely to hear. So that last one was one from All About Eve, and like I said, Julianne Regan is the lead singer, and she is from Coventry. That particular single reached number 10 on the UK singles charts, and it got to the album, which was also called All About Eve, reached number 7 on the UK albums charts. So a band which I remember going into HMV, because I was at college in Coventry in the 80s. From 1986 to 1989, I was a student in Coventry at Hereward College. So there's a few sort of friends, quite a few of my friends that went to Hereward that sort of listened to the show and would have been there sort of at that sort of time when I was there sort of in the 80s. And there used to be HMV sort of in town. I mean, it's moved around sort of to different parts of, I say town, in the city. But that used to be one of our things. On a Saturday, you go downtown, you go to HMV, you go to Athena, then you go and get a pizza or something somewhere, and then you sort of move on. Sort of, it was the same shop sort of every week. I think if anyone sort of remembers in Coventry, there used to be sort of a men's shop called Concept Man, which was above Chelsea Girl. You know, all these places are long gone, and Coventry has changed very much. When I left in '89, I moved to Great Yarmouth. And I came back 23 years later when Laurie and myself got together. So, yeah, it's 10 years. I worked out nearly 10 years that Laurie and myself have been together. It'll be in March. And I moved back to Coventry at the end of 2012. But by then I'd already sort of been up sort of quite a few times, and I had this sort of rose-tinted view of what Coventry was like of when I sort of left in '89, and it was a very different place, but I've still got very much a soft spot for the city. I do love sort of living here. I enjoy working here, and it's just, you know, it's a great place to be. It's quite central, you know, for Birmingham. We're only sort of 45 minutes on a train or an hour on a train down to London, so it's not difficult sort of like to get anywhere really. But anyway, that's enough of my waffling. What I was getting to, I remember buying this album by a band called the Primitives, very famous sort of Coventry band, and the song which most famous for is Crash.
Way too fast. Don't slow down, you're gonna crash. You should watch your step. Don't look out, gonna break your neck. So shut your mouth, 'cause I'm not listening anyhow. I had enough of you, enough to last a lifetime through. So what do you want of me? Got no words of sympathy, and if I go around with you, you know that I'll get messed up too with you.
still a great song even today, sort of when I sort of listen to it. Like I say, I remember buying the album. The album was called Lovely. That was their debut album, and it was released in February in 1988. And peaked at number 5 on the UK singles charts, number 3 on the US modern rock tracks, and number 2 on the Swedish singles charts. It does say that the band formed in Coventry in 1984, disbanded in 92, and then reformed in 2009. I know that they're still touring, and I know that they very often come back to Coventry to play. I think they've actually got a gig sort of coming up, or they've just had one sort of very recently. There's a new venue that's opened. I'm sure it's called the HMV venue. It's where an old cinema sort of was above HMV in Coventry, and it's supposed to be a really, really good sort of place to go and see bands. And there's some quite popular, Paul Weller's I think's just sort of come there recently. And there's lots happening in the city because it's a city of culture this year. It's been postponed, but there's lots happening, lots of money being spent on the city, and we're all quite sort of proud of it, really. So this next one is one from Billy Myers. It comes from, that was released in 1997. It's a song called Kiss the Rain. Now, when I was saw it, and I thought, do I know this one? I played it, and I thought, yeah, I recognise it, but I didn't realise that they were from Coventry. So this one is Kiss the Rain.
Can you hear me?
That's a great song, isn't it? That was Billy Myers and Kiss the Rain from 1997. Now, she was born in Coventry to a Jamaican father and English mother. And she was actually a nurse and also worked as an insurance agent before being discovered in a club by record producer Peter Harris. Soon after their first meeting, she began writing material for her debut album Growing Pains, which was released in 97, and the album was produced by Desmond Child. The first single from the album was Kiss the Rain, which is one that I just played. Just trying to see where it got to number 4 on the UK singles charts for 2 weeks, also became an international hit, reaching number 2 in Canada, number 15 in Sweden, and on the US Billboard Hot 100. I'm trying to see where it got to there. It became a success, actually, sort of in the States. But remember, there was a TV programme or series called Dawson's Creek. It was actually used for one of the sort of background sort of themes in a couple of the episodes back then. So there you have it. Hope you're enjoying the show tonight. It's dedicated to CovKids. So any of the sort of bands or artists that may have come from the Coventry area or surrounding area, by surrounding areas I mean sort of maybe sort of the Nuneaton, Bedworth, or even sort of down sort of in Rugby, because Rugby's not that far from here. So this next band, this one's from 1989. It's called Can You Dig It? You may remember it. It's by Potbelly itself, and the band were actually sort of promoted as a sort of West Midlands band with members from Birmingham, Coventry and the Black Country. Initially known as a Grebo act. Okay, they changed their style to incorporate sample-driven indie and industrial rock. Highest chart single in 1993 was Get the Girl, Kill the Baddies, but this one is Can You Dig It?
Okay, let's get down to it, boppers.
We like the music, we like the disco sound. Hey, we like the music, we like the disco sound. Hey, we like the music, we like the disco sound. Hey, we like the music.
Rich, yeah! Can you dig it? Rich, yeah! Can you dig it? Rich, yeah! Can you dig it? We dig TV, we dig remote control, we dig the furry freak brothers and the Twilight Zone, we dig Marvel and DC, we dig Run DMC, we dig Renegade Soundwave and AC/DC. Venus ain't Dirty Harry, make my day. Terminator, hit the north. Alan Moore knows the score. Rich, yeah, can you dig it? Rich, yeah, can you dig it? Rich, yeah, can you dig it? We dig Optimus Prime and not Galvatron. We dig the leader of the pack and the Duran Run. Spin your
And that was Can You Dig It from Potbelly itself from 1989. Says the song actually got to number 38 on the UK singles charts and was from their second album, This Is a Day, This Is the Hour, This Is This. There you have it. So this next one, I hadn't heard of this song. Well, I didn't think I'd heard of this song. By a band called Adorable. It's from 1992. They were a Coventry band that were formed in 1990, classed as alternative rock. And this one is called Sunshine Smile.
Then she smiled, just for a fraction of a little while, and everything was warm again inside. She's got a sunshine smile, the kind that warms up the corners of my cold room. She's got a sunshine smile, the kind that makes you forget again. Sunshine smile, sunshine smile, sunshine smile, sunshine
And that was from the band Adorable, and that was called Sunshine Smile. That's kind of the stuff I would have been listening to sort of around about that time. I was very sort of into sort of like the indie music throughout sort of the late 80s, mid to late 80s, all through the 90s, and I still sort of today I prefer sort of a lot of the indie tunes if I get a sort of a chance sort of like to listen to them. And it's one reason why I sort of like started tuning into Radio X at one stage, because it kind of played the sort of stuff that I would have been listening to sort of round about this time in the 90s and sort of throughout really. So this one was Sunshine Smile from 1992, and it actually made it onto the US Billboard Alternative Songs, got to number 29. So this next band is a band called Spiritualized. The song's called Stop Your Crying. It's from 2000. Now the band formed in 1990 in the Rugby area, but they've also got sort of connections with Coventry as well. And yeah, I really like this one. It's quite a long track, but it's got most of their stuff has got a bit of that sort of 60s sort of feel to it, a bit of a Wall of a Sound sort of thing going on, Phil Spector type thing. You'll get to sort of hear it and sort of see what you think about it. But yeah, this one's called Stop Your Crying.
feel so broke inside, but I'll devote my life to loving you.
What a build-up, to that one. That was Spiritualised and Stop Your Crying from 2001. What a great track that is. And you get what I'm saying about sort of the Phil Spector Wall of Sound. There was so much going on in that tune. Yeah, I just thought that was a great one to sort of listen to. So welcome if you've just joined us on Radio Care. Tonight is dedicated to CovKids, so it's the bands and artists that have come from Coventry or the surrounding area, and it was a suggestion of my friend Nikki at work. She said, there's enough bands and artists sort of from this area. I bet you can put a set list together. So I've had a go, and hopefully people have enjoyed the tunes. It's so nice sort of like to have the regular listeners. I know that I get sort of my friends sort of at work, and I've got Bar 72 that sort of join in, and my mate Paul McRoberts and family and everyone. And but also sort of the people all over the world that sort of tune in. I was looking at the stats the other day, and I've said before, I've got listeners sort of in the US, in India, and Australia, New Zealand. Also got listeners in Japan, Germany, France, Mexico at the moment. And I'm trying to sort of think where else. Obviously all over the UK. It's amazing sort of the amount of people that sort of listen over the UK and that, and it's nice to see the different cities where people are listening from. So I can't thank you enough sort of for tuning in. Sort of it means a lot to me that people do sort of bother to listen to it, and I hope you sort of carry on listening and enjoy the sets that I put together. So this next one is another one from a Coventry band. I should hope so, because that's what the set list is. And this is a band called The Rips. Now, they formed in 2003, but this particular track is from 2012, and it's called True Colours.
I should have guessed it from the very start. I never thought that you'd do this to me, and now I know it wasn't meant to be. I guess I never read that much to you, and now there's nothing left for me to lose. You showed your true colours, you showed your true colours, and you broke my heart. But I don't want anybody else but you, and I know that no one else will do. I don't wanna get over you, I don't wanna let go, no, I don't want anybody else but you, and I know that no one else will do. You showed your true colours, you showed your true colours, and you broke my heart in two. I was the victim in the game you played. I never understood your attitude, your vicious temper and your constant moves. They say that everything will be okay. I know it's never gonna be the same. You showed your true colours, you showed your true colours, and you broke my heart. But I don't want anybody else but you, and I know that no one else will do. True colours, you show your true colours, and you broke my heart in two. What do I do? I cannot stop thinking of you. What do I do? It's never gonna be the same. What do I do? I cannot stop thinking of you. What do I do? It's not too late, no. I don't want anybody else but you, and I know that
Another indie style band from Coventry, and that's the Rips and True Colours. They formed in 2003, and it says that Patch and Raul Lagunas, brothers whose parents escaped political persecution in Chile. Also members of the band are Alan Ferguson, Phil Cox, Terry Mattet and Lolly McIntosh. There was also a drummer called Rachel Butt sort of in the band. Says that they did sort of a tour with the Specials. This is going back sort of to I think 2009. Also they appeared at the British Embassy in Kuwait, and the sort of tracks or some of their tracks have been sort of used for adverts on Channel 5 network. They've been played extensively on the BBC Coventry and Warwickshire radio and BBC sort of TV. Also they appeared in Too Much Pressure, which was a stage show at the Belgrade Theatre in Coventry. So yeah, I quite like them really. I'm going to check out some more of their stuff. So this next one is a very popular band from Coventry, sort of a modern band. They did sort of split up for a while, but they actually reformed sort of recently to do a gig in their hometown, sort of in Coventry. It's a band called The Enemy, and this song is called This Song's About You. It's from 2007.
Who you grew up with were pushing prams by the time that they were just 16. If love is the drug, then where is the cure for the girl who used to talk to you about her dream? And all the boys with all their toys couldn't see the signs as we scorched our eyes with nicotine. And the grown-ups said, listen to your heads, but our hearts were crying out for heroes on TV screens. Now this song is about you. Now this song is about changes in your mind, changes in your life, changes in the times, and the reason you can't sleep at night. Changes in your mind, changes in your life, changes in the times, and the reason you gave up the fight. Half the kids aren't pushing prams and are pushing pills to boys and girls that are half their age. And the pubs and clubs are full of drunks that don't remember the day they were born or even remember their names. An old man sings a tune in you, but he's drowned out by a fight next to a food machine. And all of this, our hearts, our nation, total lack of civilization, will it ever be the same? Now this song is about you. Now this song is about changes in your mind, changes in our lives, changes in the times, and the reason you won't sleep tonight. Changes in our mind,
a great tune, and that was The Enemy, and this song's About You from 2007. Now, I was trying to work out which album it was on. I thought it might be on the We'll Live and Die in These Towns, but I think it may have been an extra track on their 2008 album, Music for the People. Like I say, they did split up for a while, but they did get back together to reunite. I think it was last month for a reunion show here in Coventry. And I'm pleased they did. I know they done the Godiva Festival several years ago, and sort of very popular sort of local band, almost as popular and sort of famous as the Specials. Right, Coventry is very proud to be quite a multicultural city, and we've got probably one of the most diverse sort of communities here in sort of Coventry. And this next one is one from an artist, goes under the name of Punjab MC. Real name is Rajinder Singh Rai, born in Coventry. And I think this song, it was from 2002, but I think it became quite popular on TikTok a few years ago, with people sort of imitating it, really. And I'm probably going to say this wrong, but I think the song's called Mundane Tobacco, and it means Beware of the Boys. And you'll recognise it as soon as you hear it. So this is our sort of bit of culture.
ਮੁਖੜਾ ਲੁਕਾ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਲੈ ਨੀਮੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਚੀਰ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਲੈ ਪੱਲੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੁਖੜਾ ਲੁਕਾ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਲੈ ਐਵੇਂ ਕਰੀ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਬਹਾਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਤੇਰਾ ਰੂਪ ਠੱਠ ਮਾਰਦਾ ਪਤਲਾ ਜਲਕ ਨਾ ਹੁਨਾਰਾ ਵੀ ਸਹਾਰਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਾਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਬਿਛਾਣੀਆਂ ਚੋਪਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੁੱਲਾਂ ਤੇ ਤੇਰੀਆਂ ਕਹਾਣੀਆਂ ਚੰਨੀ ਨੀ ਤਖੰਨੇ ਦੀਆਂ ਗਲੀਆਂ ਬਿਛਾਣੀਆਂ ਜੰਜੂਆ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੇਰੇ ਰੂਪ ਦਾ دیਵਾਨਾ ਜੰਜੂਆ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੇਰੇ ਰੂਪ ਦਾ دیਵਾਨਾ ਚੱਲ ਸਕਿਆ ਨਾ ਹੁਸਨ ਦਾ ਬਾਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਹੋਈ ਮੁਟਿਆਰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਚ ਕੇ ਰਹੀ
definitely a bit of Knight Rider going on in that song, isn't there? That was Punjab MC and Mandra Tabaki from 2002. Jay-Z, the rapper, actually done a remix version of the song, which became a really sort of a big hit for him in North America and Australia. It says that estimated it sold 10 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling singles of all time. So this next one, we're returning to the specials in a way, really. This one is one that came out in 2018. It's from Neville Staple and his wife, Sugary Staple, a very sort of prominent sort of characters in Coventry. Often sort of where I used to work in town before we moved offices, used to nip to sort of like Tesco, sort of like to get my lunch and that, and you very often see them sort of standing outside just having a chat with people. Very sort of friendly, would often talk to people. And Neville was obviously in the specials and also in sort of Fun Boy 3, but he's also got his own sort of band now. Sugary organises, she was one of the ones that first started organising the Scarmouth gig. So the Scar weekends that they have at the Vauxhall Holiday Park in Great Yarmouth every year, it's Sugary that sort of got that sort of started and has sort of a lot of involvement in that. Like I say, sort of local celebs. You can often, in the Two-Tone Village, you've got the where the museum is and the cafe, you would often sort of get Neville sort of sat there having a breakfast and reading his newspaper. Sort of really nice bloke. So this one is called When I Call Your Name, and it's also got Roddy Radiation, who was in the specials as well. And I'm going to be playing one by him later because he was in a band called Scarbilly Rebels and still is in that. But yeah, this is When I Call Your Name.
When I call your name, you pay me no mind. When I call your name, would you leave me aside? Though I held your hand, tell me what am I to do? When I call your name, you pay me no mind.
When you call my name, I couldn't explain. When you called my name, oh, my heart was in pain. How you held my hand, do what you wanna do. When you called my name, I couldn't explain. I'm going to woo you, please you, tell you all my love. I'll let the world know, oh dear, that my love for you is true. When you call my name, I couldn't explain. When you call my name, oh, my heart was in pain. How you held my hand, do what you wanna do. When you call my name, I couldn't explain. When you call my name, I couldn't explain. When you call my name, oh, my heart was in pain. You held my hand, do what you wanna do. When you call my name, I couldn't explain.
was a good one, wasn't it? That was Neville and Christine Staples, or Sugary Staples, When I Call Your Name, from 2018. And they're often sort of gigging and sort of doing stuff, like I say, and can be seen very often sort of around the Two-Tone Village, up in Ball Hill sort of area of Coventry. So another one from the specials is Linville Golding. Also went on to be part of Funboy Free and Special AKA. This song was originally done by The Clash. It's from the Clash album Combat Rock, and it's a song called Know Your Rights. But this is the Linville Golding version, which he recorded with Contracoup. This is 2016.
Know your rights, all three of them. Number one, you have the right not to be killed. Murder is a crime unless it's done, by a policeman or an aristocrat. Know your rights. Number two, you have the right to food money, provide, of course, you don't mind investigation, humiliation, and if you cross your finger, rehabilitation. Know your rights. These are your rights.
And that was Linville Golding and the Clash song Know Your Rights from 2016, recorded with Contracoup. And I'm sure when I went to see the specials at the Cathedral Ruins, that would have been about 2017, maybe, no, 2018 maybe. Losing sort of track of time, really. But I'm sure that they actually done a version, or as the specials, with obviously Linville sort of singing it. But I'm sure I remember sort of that song being sung then. So this next artist it's a band called the Scarbilly Rebels, and often sort of goes billed as Roddy Radiation and Scarbilly Rebels. Roddy Radiation is Roddy Byers, was in the Specials, also in a rockabilly band called the Bone Diggers. Very much based in Coventry, born in Coventry, in the Kersley area. The area where I live in Coventry is comes under sort of Kersley. Part of our road comes under Kersley, part becomes under Camden, but it's quite a nice sort of area, sort of in Coventry. Anyway, this particular song, it's called Another Rusty Nail, and I've played it quite a bit in the last few days, because the more I played it, the more I've sort of liked it. It was from an EP that released in 2016 called Fallen Angels. This one's Another Rusty Nail.
You used to say we weren't running away, but you can't run away from your past. And those dreams that we scheme are blowing smithereens. I'm just another rusty nail to your heart. Baby, stop being me in the land of the free. But freedom costs don't rain me. With our hearts on fire in a strange world of desire, I'm just another rusty nail to your heart. And it curtain from back at the sun, it reaches for everyone. But try as I might to stand in light, dark shadows keep coming down. Blonde surfer girl, it's another kind of world. I don't belong here, you know I can't stay. So far from home in the twilight zone, just another rusty nail to your heart. And that curtain don't block at the sun, it reaches for everyone. But try as I might to stand in light, dark shadows keep coming down. But that curtain don't block at the sun, it reaches for everyone. But try as I might to stand in light, dark shadows keep coming down. You used to say when we were running away, you can't run away from your past. And those dreams that we scheme are blown in smithereens. And I'm just another rusty nail to your heart. Just another rusty nail to your heart. I'm just another rusty nail. I'm just another rusty nail. I'm just another rusty nail to your heart.
What a great song. I absolutely love that, and I'm going to listen to more of the Scalbelly Rebels. I really do like the fact that he does that sort of fusion sort of with ska and rockabilly. It works really well, and he was always the one sort of in the specials that had that sort of bit of a sort of rockabilly sort of look to him, although they were very much a sort of two-tone rude boy sort of band. He was the one that sort of stood out, you know, with nice sort of Gretsch type sort of guitars. He's brilliant. I think he's probably one of my favourites out of the specials. So that's Roddy Radiation and the Scalbelly Rebels. So sadly, we've come to the end of the show. I'm just going to play one song, sort of like to finish tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it, and there's more sort of music that's come out of Coventry than probably most people think. Some of them you probably haven't heard of, others you will have done, and it depends on your taste in music. There's a lot of the indie ones in there that I probably would have listened to if I'd sort of like still been following the charts and what was happening. And by doing these lists and sort of doing these shows and that does sort of get me sort of listening to many artists again that maybe I had listened to before, or discovering new ones, like just then the Scalbelly Rebels. Seen it advertised in Coventry so many times and thought, I don't know, but after listening to that one, that's just such a great tune. Anyway, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone and have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and hopefully you can tune in next week. To sort of play us out tonight is another Asian sort of fusion track. It's by an artist called Taz and or Stereo Nation, and he's gone under the name of Taz, Stereo Nation, and Johnny Z. He's a British singer, composer, actor, or of Indian descent. And this one is a song called I Love You. And I think it was either from an album called Twist and Shout, or it was released as a double. So it was Twist and Shout / I Love You. And that's from 2010. So I'll leave you with this song and say goodnight. Stay safe and tune in next week. Ba ba boom, 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 ba 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 ba. I love you, yes I do, and baby I'll always love you. I love you now, I'm holding you tonight. Yes, I do. And baby, I'll always love you. I love you now. I'm holding you tonight. Cause I did a banana jodi son baliye. Rabne banadi jodi son baliye. Tera pyar meri zindagi. Cause I did a banana jodi son baliye. Rabne banadi jodi son baliye. Tera pyar meri zindagi. Mera jiya na jaye, tere bina चैन मेरा खोया रे खोया, रातों की नींदें चुरा ली तूने, हो सनम। इन मुलाकातों ने बना दिया मुझे दीवाना, मैं तेरा दीवाना। ये सच है प्यार तुम्हारा हमारा, हो जाने मन। Yes I do, and baby I'll always love you.
आए ना कोई
तेरा जीवन साथी मैं तेरा सहारा ये जिंदगी मैंने लिख दी सनम तेरे नाम पे चाहे बादल आ जाए चाहे आ जाए तूफान हम कर देंगे हमारी जाने कुर्बान मेरी हर सांसों में जिए तुम ही सनम Yes I do, baby I'll always love you I love you now, I'm holding you tonight I love the way you make me feel, baby साथी रब ने बना दी जोड़ी सुन बलिए रब ने बना दी जोड़ी सुन बलिए तेरा प्यार प्यार तेरा प्यार मेरी जिंदगी साथी रब ने बना दी जोड़ी सुन बलिए रब ने बना दी जोड़ी सुन बलिए तेरा प्यार मेरी जिंदगी
So there you have it. Radio Care, transporting you from the 60s to present day. Join Mike Howard broadcasting from Coventry to the world.